is it about this program? Talk to us about the graduation today, the certification ceremony today. How many persons are going to be certificated in what area?
Certainly. So today we have three categories of certifications. The first category is for our scholarship winners, who will be awarded certificates for top performance. So every top performer from the 15 county was selected to receive a scholarship. And for that, they will be certificated today. There's about 15 persons, one for each county. And then there will also be another 400 persons who will be receiving awards today, in addition to the winners for the certificate. For the awards, that will be nationally. So in every county, we are also having this closing ceremony. And so those winning some of the awards will meet in their local counties and be able to receive them. One of the top awards we are celebrating, or we are bringing, one of the top award winners we are bringing to Montserrat.
Okay.
The second set of certificate will be for our seed funding winners. So groups that successfully or that submitted a great innovative idea will be awarded, and one will be awarded a certificate today indicating that they won and are qualified to enter the incubation program for the seed funding, which I believe they already started working towards. And then the last certificate will be a certificate of completion. For those ones, we are going to offer very few to the winners of the winners of the top prize or of the scholarship, and for every other participant around the country who need a certificate of completion, all they need to do is to go to the online portal and download that, or there'll be a link that, if not already provided, will be provided towards the closure of today's program, that they can click on and be able to get their certificate downloaded.
Now, when the president took over, he announced to the nation that during the first quarter of his administration, he would have trained 10,000 young people in basic digital programming or whatever. Now, I want you to first tell us about the recruitment process. What were you looking out for in the recruitment process? How did you go about the recruitment process?
Thank you for that, Clarence. So for the recruitment, it was open. We did have a very minimal requirement that you be at least a 10th grade student, but it was open to the nation, to everyone who was interested. And that's because we offer multiple courses. We had general digital skill, which was just introduction to computer, introduction to basic IT knowledge, basic IT tools and applications. So with that, we wanted everyone, things like how to read, how to put a computer, the difference between a computer and a laptop, a desktop, and a phone. All these are computers, but what are the difference? All those things are basic knowledge that anyone should have in this digital age. And so that one we're offering to everyone. And Clarence, one thing I can tell you is that we have more people registering for that class in our statistics than the rest of the other modules or courses that we offer. So we also offer the digital marketing and e-commerce, e-marketing. And those basically taught you how to buy and sell over the internet. And then GIS, which is a little bit more advanced course, or digital survey, was also offered, which is basically knowing how to do surveys around the country, knowing how to map a location and provide data, accurate data using GIS tools. So the program was set up such that everyone, anyone who was interested from everywhere around the country could sign up for it and get trained. We had 30 days period to get people recruited, and within the first 15 days, the president's target initially was 10,000, but within the first 15 days, we had gotten the 10,000 already, and so we had gotten 11,950. So we had to close the application at that point at 11,950 plus to allow us to be able to adequately offer this program to that group. So the interest was there, the population was there, and the recruitment itself was open to everyone. That's by your status, your gender, your educational background. You had the opportunity to apply for it.
Okay. Now, next question. The two people make sure that the recruitment process, was a representation. Did it reflect the 15 counties of Liberia?
Oh yes, very much so. It did reflect the 15 counties. There were people registered from Sano to Lofa, from Nimba, and you just name it. There were people, there were representation. Some counties had more, some counties had less, but we still ensured that I think the least county had more than 150 participants.
Okay.
Actually, more than 200 participants if my my memory serves me right.
Now, how was the training done? Did everybody come to Monrovia and sit in a classroom to get trained, or did you work with local institutions in the different counties, recruited these people, and they stayed in the counties and they were trained by the institutions you were working? I mean, just give us a picture.
That is correct. For every county, we work with local institutions, either that was based in the county or from Montserrado, that had the capacity to set up the systems in the county and offer the training in the counties. And every county, in fact, we have multiple regions in several counties. I believe there was only one county, because of the population and where they registered from, that had a single location. Every other county had 2 or more locations because we wanted the training to be local. We didn't want people traveling 2, 3, 4 hours to get to their training site.
For how long did the training last?
Each of the training and the modules were set up to be offered within a 10 days period. And so it took 10 days to actually do the in-person training, but then we still made available the website for people who wanted refreshers, and it is available. Usually when we tell people 10 days, the first thing they think is criticizing how fast can a person learn that much with days. But my first advice to our critics usually is, it is open. Go to liberiagolddigital.org, click on our e-learning center or training portal, and try any one of the training and see how long you can take to go through it and assess your level of understanding through any of our tests. And after that, come back and in your criticism, anything you have issues with there, we can definitely develop on it.
Now, how practical was the training in terms of the availability of equipment? Whether it was a computer or what? Did it lay hands on it? How practical, was the training?
Oh yes, it was, and not just that. It was practical. In most of the scenarios, we needed just a smartphone. In the general digital skill, we needed our participants to also have access to a computer. In the GIS, we needed them to have at least to be able to at least know what the GIS equipment is for mapping and getting some of those surveys. And so we had all of those equipments and systems, and we found vendors that actually had the capacity to offer those many machines in areas we needed them. So it was very practical. Our users had hands-on learning, and they were able to also do assessment. And those who won would tell you that they had to do their project, a practical application also, and a test and exam, which had to be done through one of the systems that you used to do your training, either a computer or a smartphone.
Now, how proud are you of your trainees, if I may say, as a project manager? I'm asking in the context of what can they do. If I were to call one of them now and say, come to my office, and I wanted to do what minimum do you think they can do as far as digital application is concerned?
Depending on the course, I say a lot. I'll give you two different examples. There's a third one, but the two that at least I heard myself. There is on one of our visits to one of the sites during the training, we had a university graduate who did I think geology, and he learned about some of the mapping on paper, but had never seen the tool, have never done it or practicalized it. And he was excited, he was appreciative of this program because he left the university to come and actually partake in the program to be able to actualize, to actually play with it and learn the practical aspect of mapping using something like a mapping system, a GIS mapping system, or a GPS. So that's one. And then another one was a gentleman who is a high school dropout who had no computer knowledge, absolutely nothing, but he attended at one of our, in fact, Blueprint. And when he was done, he was appreciative of the fact that he got to know something about computer and wants to do more. He said, I thought I'm not going to learn it because for me, I'm finished high school. But the fact that I went there and I saw the thing, I think it's easy. I think I'm able to learn it, I'm able to do more. Because he got introduced to the system. He got to know, hey, how to play with a computer, how to turn it on. He got to know the different applications in the computer. He got to touch the keyboard, do his own typing. And so he got the touch and feel of it. Something young kids these days will do with your cell phone on the fly. But for him, he never had the opportunity up till now. But this program gave him that opportunity, and not just the opportunity, but it made him interested. It motivated him to want to do more, to want to learn more, because now he knows that it is easy and he's able to do it. So when I heard those stories in person, I was proud of that. And there are so many of those stories from everywhere around the country.
Okay, I'm just thinking about probably after the graduation or whatever. I'm thinking about you people providing them the opportunity to tell their own stories, so that we see them, so that we hear them, so that we know that this program actually went on and these people were trained. But before we leave you, just talk to us about today's program. Give us a picture of how it will look.
Okay, so today is the actual closing ceremony for the digital transformation training project that was initially announced by His Excellency. And we are hoping to have it done everywhere around the country. And I first want to give a shout out and appreciation to the youth, the National Youth Cruise, Mana River Union, Fly, Linsu. They were part of this entire execution of the project from day one and up to the ending. They are actually the ones hosting the closing program. And I can tell you that it's nationally also. So in every county right now, in most places, the capital city, we are having a closing ceremony there. And at the ministerial complex, we'll also be hosting, and we are hoping to host His Excellency President Joseph Kimambuaka and officials of the government dignitaries. So we're hoping to have a great and elaborate program, and during that program there will also be some honoring and certifications of some of these award winners we discussed earlier.
Okay. Beyond the certification, what is there anything that's going to happen for these award winners?
Yes. One of the things we're trying to do, and thanks again to Honorable Abdullah Kamara, the chairman for the Board of Commissioners at LTA, and to our entire steering committee, there are opportunities that are coming up, and we did announce to our students that this is a window to several opportunities in the future. And the first one just happened. LTA is working with, I believe, Hawaii Group to organize a training here, and they contacted us to use some of our trainees. They're going to train them, either our trainees or our teachers who participated in our recruitment program. They will be trained so that they can in solutions that stimulate our economy locally and nationally. And all of our trainees and additional trainees who come in the future can also partake and get jobs opportunity and get more training opportunities from some of these seed-funded businesses that are being established.
Okay, Mr. Zawi, let me let you go because you're busy this morning trying to sell. But it was wonderful talking to you, giving us at least a picture of the training, of what you went through the recruitment process up to the conclusion today. Thank you so much.
Thanks again, Clarence, for inviting me on your show, and thanks to your public for listening, and thanks to our participants. We hope to see you today at the ministerial complex.
Well, his name is Wanya Zawi. He is the manager of the Liberia Digital Transformation Project. You know, it was paid for. You know, they paid to get this interview going. Let's take a break. We come back here. Our three panelists will be here, and we'll have a conversation. But until that time, the health walk. You're so fire. Take me higher.
Caught up in this feeling.
By popular request, your number one people-centered radio station, OKFM 99.5, once again presents the OK Health Walk under the theme Promoting a Healthy Lifestyle for a Healthy Nation. On December 14th at 6 a.m. prompt, we will be walking from Congo Town opposite the SOS Clinic through the principal streets of Cinco to the Antoinette Tubman Stadium, where the health walk will be climaxed with free health screening and refreshments. To all fans, ardent listeners of OKFM, social and fitness clubs, our fellow media colleagues, one and all, come join us to climax the year with a healthy lifestyle while we create the environment for great networking opportunities for your various businesses. The energy is going to be electrifying with live brass band music to keep us alive and energized. To be a sponsor of this OKFM landmark event, reach out to the business office where a special media package awaits you. Mark your calendars. On December 14th, OKFM shuts the city down. Health is wealth, so join us in promoting that healthy lifestyle. And with OK, everything is okay. See you on December 14th.
Tonight, you're my private heaven. Take me higher. Caught up in this feeling.
By popular request, your number one people-centered radio station, OKFM 99.5, once again presents the OK Health Walk under the theme Promoting a Healthy Lifestyle for a Healthy Nation. On December 14th at 6 a.m. prompt, we will be walking from Congo Town opposite the SOS Clinic through the principal streets of Cinco to the Antoinette Tubman Stadium, where the health walk will be climaxed with free health screening and refreshments. To all fans, ardent listeners of OKFM, social and fitness clubs, our fellow media colleagues, one and all, come join us to climax the year with a healthy lifestyle while we create the environment for great networking opportunities for your various businesses. The energy is going to be electrifying with live brass band music to keep us alive and energized. To be a sponsor of this OKFM landmark event, reach out to the business office where a special media package awaits you. Mark your calendars. On December 14th, OKFM shuts the city down. Health is wealth. So join us in promoting that healthy lifestyle. And with OK, everything is okay. See you on December 14th.
Tonight, you're my private heaven.
Oh yes, with OKFM, everything is okay. Even Kiatamba knows that. Jacob Jala knew that, but the ball boss. Yeah, the ball was a boss. So our three panelists are here this morning, and I know you're gonna enjoy it. That's why I told them to come as soon as 8:30. So we have one solid hour and 10-minute conversation around different issues. Three main issues I sent to them. The discussion was centered around this morning. And of course, so I will go around the table. Each of the guys will introduce himself, and then we can tell my physical morphology. The consultant is consulting well.
I told you, yes, my supervisor.
So they bought a global consultant.
Yeah.
Look at the job.
It's an expansion. It's a morphological expansion.
I know the bug hole or the bug, the two.
Morphological expansion.
So let's hear each of you. Just introduce yourself. Let's start from mine.
I'm going to share the show so you'll be talking.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sure. Thank you. Jacob Jala is my name. I'm happy to be here this morning. I think, we've been flooded with great deal of current event matters, and I'm sure we'll get our teeth into some of those matters in the coming minutes or so. But yeah, sure. Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, Jacob. The bug hole or a boss?
The football lost. The ball bound.
The ball bound. Let's hear you, my man in the blue suit. He dresses like Talbot. Let's hear you there. Bossman, in the center, like you, I know your name.
Okay, my name is Kiatama. I'm a friend of Clarence Jackson, and I'm a subcontractor to Jacob Jala. I'm a friend of one. I'm happy to be here. Always okay, and Clarence, they help us to process and to unpack some of the complexities around some of our trending national issues. So OK is always that center, that place where we come and brainstorm, and so this is an important moment for all of us.
So you agree with the man, the ball law or a boss?
Well, the ball is in transition.
In flight.
In flight.
Let's hear our next panelists. Let's hear you guys.
Sure. I think it's a really great privilege to not just be here, but to be in Liberia. Like both panelists said, at this point in our democracy, intellectual conversation, one with rule-based framework and honesty and integrity is the hallmark to not just guide future, generation, but to, guide policymakers. Because I know this platform, even the president of Liberia followed this platform. So I think this conversation today is critical. The next aspect is it's very great. I think I have a peer with Katamba, but first time seeing Jacob, and I think this is a very excellent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think impressive.
Oh, okay. The man had to find when the ball bound, the man lost.
I'm shocked.
The ball bound, the man lost. Guys, but before we go any further, guys, I want each of you to make public commitment that you will be at our health walk on Saturday. You need to come to walk with us. We're having a big health walk on Saturday. Don't say you are not being followed me. Kiatama doesn't take exercise, so I really don't
know me, I'm a scorer, I'm a striker.
Jacob Jala, you can go on SKD between Jaja team. They say they play, they're training over there.
So when is that?
It's Saturday. It's a
What
health
time?
walk Saturday. Well, 6 a.m. Walking from SOS straight to the Antoinette Totman Stadium. Just wear your training gear and come. Let's do it together, guys. Okay, you've heard from them. Adonai Kiatama is here. Jacob Jala is here. And of course, 1-2 tier 1-2 this year. We'll begin with 1-2 this morning. And please, I want to allot time to each of you. So we have a fair share of whatever. Because I know one of my men here, when I get it time, the man. No, St. Jackson not here today, so I probably will deal with you. Now, dear, welcome. You're back to country. We're going straight into business. We're not gonna, keep any time of anything. you've been following the whole saga surrounding the removal of Funanti Kofa going to the Supreme Court. You know, the court giving different verdict at different times. The recent one has come up, and all the whole battle, the majority says is elected a new speaker. I know later on we'll come to the Ministry of Justice's involvement in the matter as far as the executive concerned. But in 5 minutes' time, what do you make of this whole Speaker Kofa's removal?
Great. So when I agreed to appear, I came with I agree with a sense of patriotism. I'm a seditian, but I believe in a very driven conversation that highlight I ask myself in several dimensions, how does the current decision drive, the outcome of futuristic, art in our country? Because this generation, is currently, this generation of leadership, I mean, President Bouaka, would not be impacted by the current conversation with the speaker. In terms of policy discussion, rule-based constitutional conversation, you look at all of this framework. And this is, before I start with my perspective, I'll just, highlight why every Liberian should be, in as much as possible, very, very much alerted about the current ongoing with our house. One is we are basically speaking about a pathway where the executive will have total control over the legislature. That means you wouldn't have, the balance of power in its activeness to, not just put the executive into check order, but if you realize, a few days ago we saw, an undercover legislative function with the Ministry of Finance on our budget. Every Liberian, even those that did that they support the Unity Party, are concerned over the entire budgetary allotment. So that's very concerning. But the other aspect is the Constitution. I read a couple of legal scholar opinions, and one thing that stuck to me is I think one of the opinions I read by Julius J yesterday, he said that the Supreme Court made a benchmark to set a once-in-a-lifetime generational precedent. And the reason why this is critical is because we have had this entire scenario. It's not the first. We had a case with Snow. We had a case with Speaker Tata. And so we had the movement to set a precedent, to provide the requisite interpretation that will guide future generation. We also are concerned about the safeguarding of our Constitution. The Constitution of the Supreme Court is the land, the legal authority, not just the Constitution, but the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of justice, as we were told. Nowhere in our entire, Constitution said, highlighted the executive interpreting the law. For the first time, if not, and maybe I may be corrected, we saw an opportunity where the executive did not only exert interpretation on the law, but also define their course of action through the interpretation. We saw an opportunity for ensuring accountability that completely passed us through the Supreme Court. We saw an opportunity of preventing future governance crises. And I highlighted what I meant by future governance crisis. But let's go to, the case of Speaker Kofa. One, I want to emphatically state that, the ideology of due process was not given to Speaker Kofa. And we can argue on that and provide different means of why we think the due process wasn't given. The jurisdiction of the Supreme Court was done without resolution. The court exerted its authority under Article 66 of the Constitution, which is given, recognizing the authority of the Constitution that matters, and how the court have full authority to be able to interpret and set future precedent. What we saw in their entire decision created something we call ambiguity and a quorum on presiding officer. The court failure, and we know for sure, and I want to argue that the court completely failed in defining what constitutes the absence under Article 49 of the Constitution, leaving a critical gap in understanding of legislative precedents. Was Speaker Kofa absent or present when the due process was done that brought Kone to office? He was present. I think he was in the main chamber, and the decisions were made completely. The majority bloc, or so-called majority bloc, argued that Speaker Kofa did not agree with their invitation to visit their specific chamber or separate chamber. The court had an opportunity to define what constitutes absent under the authority of our Constitution. The neglect of due process is also very concerning. The government should be as much as possible, very much concerned about the fact that Speaker, Kofa did not get due
So you
process.
got 1 more minute just to give you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaker Kofa did not get due process. What we saw here is that we saw Representative Ella Flombo, we saw Abu Kamara, we saw Melvin Cole. They were all suspended without being afforded due process on our Constitution. Article 20 of our Constitution lay out that the court failure to honor Article 20, which provide a giving dynamic of due process. The court failed to be able to explicitly state that in their ruling that district lawmakers should be provided opportunity for their role. They were completely let out of their role without due process. So we'll speak more about the legal interpretation.
Yeah, we'll come
and
there.
also
We'll come
provide some sort of illustration on different.
Okay. Thank you,
court
Wanto.
proceedings as well.
Generally, we just wanted to get your introduction and then we come back. Next time, we'll give more time. Jacob Jala, 5 minutes. Let's hear you. What do you make of this thing, my brother?
No, I mean, largely speaking, I always stay away from all the legal waters. That is not my cup of tea. I think I'll leave that to the legal juggernauts to mull over. This is somewhere I don't want to go. It is not my forte. I'm not a student of law, so that it hurts my head to try to square all the circle coming from the code and all of that. I'll put that aside and just say that what we've seen at the legislature over the past few weeks, maybe to a month or more than that, has been profoundly laughable. I think we have to be very serious here. The legislature has not have not advertised itself very properly in the past few weeks or days. It's been a profound mess of a political situation, and a lot of rubbish needs to be cleared out by the legislature. I will put it at that, and I'm going to be very emphatic on that. It's been a profound, fundamental waste of our time, and I don't think we invest in vast quantities of resources in running the legislature, millions and millions of dollars. And we see the Unity Party and the Congress for Democratic Change profoundly wasting the Liberian people's time on meaningless political squabble. We have serious matter here to do. This is one of the most poorest countries in the world. I think the poorest country in the world. We have massive challenges on infrastructure. We do not have the fundamental economic basis for growth, for jobs, for the expansion of agriculture, for reforming the foundation of the economy and set the concrete basis for future growth and transformation. Look at education, is massively sluggish. We have serious matters to be dealt with here, and I think the legislature needs to invest the full momentum of their constitutional authority and power on trying to deal with these serious matters. And that are people in Nikuta, West Point, and across this country as I focus on. And to see that, and let's be clear, we know as people who have seen politics here, that the Unity Party is also involved in this matter. We see the hands of the party, we see the government, the office of the president, we've seen the Chief Justice statement. The CDC also is into this.
You mean the Justice Minister?
The Justice Minister. And the question is this all these two political parties have to offer this country? I think it's been a profound waste of time. And maybe I don't have to take all my 5 minutes. That is my position on that. We will go into the nuances of the matter going forward. But I don't think we've gotten our money's worth coming from the legislature over the past few months. Have they taken pay? Maybe they need to reimburse their salaries. We can pay for...
They're not working.
No, absolutely not. It's a wastage of scarce resources. What's been going on there? Move Kofa, don't move Kofa. What is the benefit of that? This is a competition between crocodiles and snakes. How does that interest us as a population? Politicians want to give themselves advantage coming to 2029. We have precisely no interest in that kind of selfish political squabble. We want to solve the real issues of our country, and the CDC and the UP have done a profound letdown on the speakership election. It's been a profound joke.
It's a joke.
It is. Capitol Hill, a profound joke. 2-3 weeks. I don't even want to go to any legal things. I don't want to waste my time with that. We're paying money, $10,000, $15,000 to legislators. We're paying them $90,000 every 6 years to buy vehicles. We don't have insulin hospital in Telewayon. I was there not too long. I always hammer that point too. And it is not, and people are not concerned about Capitol Hill. They're concerned about speak on this, speak on that. I'm not in the mood for that. I've just brushed all of that aside as a huge joke.
Okay, 5 minutes. Kia Tamba, let's hear you, man.
Well, I think, first of all, I'm happy to be on this stadium with these two distinguished men, very good friends. Look, I think I will draw from the insights of Comrade Jala. I think it's been a disgraceful spectacle about how this is not a policy debate around different approaches. We want expansion of investment in education. We want expansion investment in healthcare. This is not a kind of debate taking place. So they basically, the whole country is frozen into this pettiness, into this scramble for power, basically at the expense of everything else, at the expense of looking at what is at stake. We come to the end of the year, and the last portion of the year is wasted on the kind of shameful, disgraceful spectacle of people who are supposed to represent their constituencies. There's not debating on how the next budgetary allocations will be focused on expanding maternal facilities in rural Liberia, helping access to health care for children, improving primary education or access to education. This is not a debate. This is not even close to the debate. So the things that are supposed to be rallying people along one side against the other is the kind of issues that are really aligned with their conditions. But there's nothing about the conditions of the people. Both sides of the debate, your Kofa side is about maintaining power, the other guy side is removing Kofa. So they force everybody to choose a side in basically that kind of stuff. That's one. The other aspect I say, look, it is clear that people have the right to remove the speaker. That is their right in the comment of the speaker. And I like to take a stock of the journey so far. I think that, look, people have the right to say, look, we do not enjoy the confidence. He has lost our confidence, and our confidence in him is no longer exists. But there's a process. There's a process. I want to be president of Liberia, but I cannot create my own process. I have to follow an existing process. Because I want to be president of Liberia, because I can do better than all the other candidates, does not qualify me to impose myself on the country. Or else we'll be living a jungle justice. We'll be living in a very brutal environment where it is might make right. We cannot desecrate the law to achieve our political goals. So on that comes, so Kofa, on one step, made some huge political missteps. For the guy who won narrowly, basically did not even win, I would say, a majority, won a plurality of vote. Does not have the sophistication to manage power, to address the concerns and grievances of his colleagues. And he basically made 3 months. He enjoyed his speakership for 3 months. By May, your signatures being collected. So that's one step. Two, when there was a crisis, he felt as a crisis manager. He gaslighted the conflict by accusing his people of receiving bribes, his team. So everything was political miscalculation. On the other group, other side, what they have was that they do not have the number to remove Kofa. That is the fact. They know that. The original game plan will force him to resign. Kofa did not resign. So they got confused. Damn, we didn't have plan B. That will force the man to resign. The man is defiant. So they got confused. They didn't have game plan B. Plan B was give the man due process. Make your case, give the man a chance to respond to the case, establish a process. They did not have, they were afraid to go to a room because that 49 would have dwindled to 22 because of any kind of thing would have happened from now to the day of the show. So they were not too sure to go to a process that was free and fair. They did not have the 49. Kofa did not have the number to run the house because he did not have a quorum. They did not have the number to remove Kofa. So we had numerical dilemma taking place on both sides. Now, they could have figured out a way, how can we bring some numbers from Kofa to our side? And Kofa could have figured out a way, how can I bring some number from the majority bloc? Both sides failed. So the majority bloc realizes if we go into that hall to remove Kofa, we start beginning to do roll call. Our number will not reach. The number not going to reach. So we got to find another means. Kofa too is facing, he's incapacitated by circumstances. He does not have the number to call a quorum. So he's a chief with no Indian behind him. He's have a title, but nobody behind the title. He became a title carrier with no following. So this is the dilemma the country face. They go to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court fail us. I agree on top.
We'll come right there. We're
No,
coming right there.
but before we come there, I want to get there quick.
No, we got 1 more minute.
I want to get there.
No, we're coming there. I want us to.
I want to right there. Wait for y'all.
No,
I want to get there. Wait for y'all.
You're not leaving up behind. You're not leaving up behind.
Okay, come here.
You will conclude and we'll come.
Yeah.
You got
They
4
failed
seconds.
us. It was political. Their failure was driven by political considerations. They cannot be trusted to interpret our laws.
Okay, Kiatama, your 5 minutes exhausted. Jacob Jala, let's begin with you straight right here. Now, do you think these people who want to remove Fonanti have got some legitimate concerns? In fact, what do you think is happening? Why all this removal and allegation of bribery, the speaker accusing, they accusing? What do you think is going on? And do you think the Supreme Court has the final arbiter with anything? 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, so, okay, there are two points right there. So, in terms of the role of the Supreme Court, okay, so as a layman on the matter, right? So, if the Supreme Court is interpreting a stalemate, a legal stalemate of that nature, I don't think I got enough clarity in terms of the Supreme Court opinion. Maybe that's based on my ignorance of the law, but if you have that, I mean, Supreme Court should interpret an opinion or pass a judgment on a case so that all of the population will be able to understand, at least significant amount of the population will be able to understand this in simple terms. But I don't think a lot of clarity came out of the situation. I don't know why the Supreme Court probably may have legally tiptoed around the issue for some reasons. I don't know. But it seems quite clearly that the findings coming out of the Supreme Court did not did not offer clarity on the matter, because definitely I saw both sides, trying to celebrate
claiming victory.
That smelled like confusion. It wasn't quite clear. And I wonder why the Supreme Court will not be absolutely clear and blunt on the matter and say this is the issue now. I've heard legal people talk about political questions. The Supreme Court wants to be very careful to walk a tightrope, not to dabble into the politics of the legislature. Yeah, so that's for me left me more confusion, legalistically speaking. But on the political side of things, in terms of why what is going on, the removal of the speaker and all of that, well, we've seen in the past speakers being removed, or speakers resigning, Snow, Tyler, and everything that went around that. But on the question of Kofa, right? I clearly, you can explain to me if you have the information. I have not really seen a clearly laid out reason for his removal. Okay. That we can say, okay, let's put this on the table and go into it. I mean, are there issues about corruption? What is the evidence around that? Are there issues about
they talk about issue of corruption, they talk about conflict of interest. He's legally representing a lot of companies in the country.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think those issues were fully debated and explored, and then the evidence laid out quite clearly. If some of you saw the evidence there, you can point out to me. I don't think so. I think it's basically being profoundly political. And for me, I think this is a jostling for influence. 2029 is coming up. Maybe Kofa is a political threat. Why don't end that political threat right now to give ourselves strategic advantage in the future? So I just think this is a political football being played on Capitol Hill more than legal. Now, in a democratic process, yes, people can play political football if they want to do that. But my tolerance for the extent to which you want to play political football has to be extremely measured. It cannot be to the overwhelming detriment of the country. I think the saga on Capitol Hill has prolonged for too long, and it has, in a way, undermined what we need to do as a country, the budget process, and all of that. And I don't think it's being managed effectively, and it's having profound impact and damage on us as a society. And when it comes to that, then I step in and say, no, it can't be that important. If you want to deal with the speaker, you want to remove your speaker, can you do this as quickly as possible so that it doesn't have any damaging impact on our survival? Because who cares? We want to go to work every day. Parents want to earn a living. People want jobs. People want to improve their quality of life. That is what's important. And if we spend all of our meaningful time trying to remove the speaker, and there is a log jam at the legislature. One group on the other side having struggles, and then we see the executive mansion playing a part in that also. I don't know whether the executive mansion is panicking and they want a fast resolution to the matter, a quick resolution to the matter. That's why they've thrown in a lot with the majority black, or this was all being cooked up in the beginning to remove Kofa. Whatever that kind of political play is concerned, I really care less whether you move Kofa or keeping that is up to you. I don't have anything to do with that. Once you can do it as quickly as possible and get back to fundamentals. And what is the fundamentals? Bringing the budget into focus, dealing with the discussions that we need to do it, taking the decision that the legislature need to take to try to solve the real issues. I always go back to that.
Okay,
Jobs,
Jacob.
education,
Jobs, the real
economy,
issue. Let's hear one, too.
So yeah,
Did the Supreme Court miss out on opportunities to settle once and for all things that have been, around for a long period of time? And why do you think this whole Kofa removal discussion?
So I think let me just follow the precedent of Jacob by stating I'm not a legal scholar too before people be thinking that but I'm a policy actor. I graduated with a master in public policy. So for the policy argument, I love the fact that Tama came with a very strong argument at the end of his analysis. And like Jacob, I'm concerned also about the implication on the everyday Liberian. Whether you support this government or not, you are passionate about change. If you visit countries out of Liberia, you realize that development outcome is faster approaching, in early governance than you can imagine. The government has a very huge manifesto that is to define, the outcome of their campaign. This government set a lot of precedent in terms of ensuring that Liberians assume that everything going to be butter and bread. So the rule of law is also a very huge component of the United Party, platform that they contested on. But what we saw here is the mixed opportunity. And after I lay out my premise, I wanted to provide, illustration. Because, constitutional matters, it's also very important to look at how similar outcomes in different countries, were treated. Let's look at Kenya, for instance. One of the popular examples is the 2017 electoral process in Kenya. If you guys know, 2017 electoral process was a very huge constitutional issue. The Supreme Court had an opportunity to provide, constitutional interpretation, but also to answer the political question. Because Kenya was at the brink of a civil conflict because of the political electoral process. What we saw in the Supreme Court decision is judicial boldness. They did not fear, the outcome of that decision. They were independent as possible, realizing that the statute that they hold as the final arbiter of justice in our country, in their country, and also the interpreter of their constitution, regarded, a very bold and independent judicial stance. So what we saw is they provided, one of the outcomes of that decision was, despite the political process, they stood their ground and they initiated a court reasoning that called for a roadmap for electoral reform in Kenya. And the Brexit issue in the UK is another critical part to look at. So in the UK, there's a very famous proceeding called the Mader versus Mader court process, which was you can check that out. That's a very very good precedent to look at. In that court process, the court ruled that parliamentary approval was required. Parliamentary approval did not require any action.
Before we go to the UK, what was the process in Kenya? What went to court? Who took what to court? Because when we're looking at
the
president,
opposition took the government to court on electoral process and reform.
Okay, and you think that scenario will hold? Because in Liberia, we are talking about a legislative branch going to court for interpretation of the law to be interpreted by a judiciary branch, unlike Kenya, where an opposition party took the government to court.
Yeah, but at first, my opening spoke about the ambiguity of constitutional interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
If the court have accepted a finalization on their interpretation, the Minister of Justice will not interpret the Constitution, or whoever interpreted for the government. The executive should have no role in interpreting the Supreme Court outcome. And the reason why that is done, where you have the multiple legal interpretations, because The court did not provide, the finalization of their rule framework. They did not, they did not declare what constitutes absence in our constitution. They did not blatantly say that Speaker Kofa removal was against our constitution. They did not call out the removal of duly constituted members of committees by an over Nicodemus process that did not justify the rule-based framework of the legislature. So we see all of this precedent, and we see blatant abuse of our law, our constitution, and so forth. So what I argue in my opening, Clarence, was the ambiguity in our constitution. So the comparative analysis of the presidential process in Kenya is that the Supreme Court in Kenya exerted full constitutional, decision-making process by interpreting a rule and directly calling for presidential electoral reform. And the case also with the UK process as well. In the Brexit process, in Mader versus Mader 2, the court also declared that the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, by then, was misusing parliamentarian power in his decision-making process. These are bold decisions, and I can give you 10 to 4. Even Ghana recently had a similar scenario.
But one of my kind of thing is, what do you say to people who think it is slightly different from Liberia? Because in the instant case, it is an infight amongst the legislators or members of the House of Representatives, and the Speaker goes to court. Now, most of the legal scholars are saying the Supreme Court is as careful as possible because our Constitution talks about separation of power. They do not want to get involved in a legislative matter. They were more concerned about the interpretation of the constitutionality of the issue.
But they did not interpret the Constitution. There was no interpretation. The interpretation was completely ambiguous. And this is why you have the government of Liberia sending the executive to interpret the Constitution far from. So the Supreme Court still have a part to play. We don't know if the interpretation from the government was on the basis of presidential, or declaration. Whatever we say, the executive in itself has no part to play in interpreting the Supreme Court decision-making
Okay,
process.
thank you. So
finally, let me just learn on because I had the final part to be able to
just
few
get
seconds. Yeah. What we see here is we saw an entire opportunity to build a principle, the entire constitutionality of our legal process, where future generation and outcome of governance can be guarded. We saw an opportunity to create a stance, that not only strengthen the Supreme Court separation of power, but completely ensure that the executives are aware that they will be called out if they abuse our law. The president has to be called out because this is not the only precedent. We saw the Attorney Law honor this government completely misplaced. We saw the central bank governor honor this government also honor without no due process, was completely ousted from his role.
Okay, so let's hold you there. Let's go to Kiatamba. Let's hear you, Kiatamba. The next round, I think we have to increase the time.
Yeah. So I got in just 6 minutes.
Go ahead.
So look, here's what I'll say. Look, laws is common sense. I go to court. I seek relief. The purpose of going to court is to seek justice and relief. I've been deprived of something. I'm looking for restoration. Jacob Jala came and took my right away. I want my right to be restored. I seek restoration. I seek relief. Harm has been inflicted upon me. I seek relief. And I go to the court and the judge passes a verdict that add another layer of pain to my pain because I don't understand why he's talking. I just don't understand. So the Supreme Court could, like he said, could have created a landmark decision that will stand tall. You don't have to be a lawyer to understand when you go to court, when they pass the verdict, whether the case is clear. The fact that legal scholars, I talked to 10 lawyers, Clarence, and all of them said, if you talk to 2 different lawyers, you get 2 different opinions.
They are divided.
They are divided. Supreme Court deepen that division. Supreme Court did not say, look, we bring in clarity. When there are doubts, your ruling provide clarity, provide a roadmap that say yes. These are the arbiter, these are the final arbiter. But Supreme Court deprived themselves of their standing in the eyes of so many people. Next time I go to Supreme Court, say I go to those.
Do you think that is why it is, or all of us are ignorant to legal issues, and so we do not actually understand on what basis was the Supreme Court ruling?
If you just said it, the lawyers are confused. They're not ignorant of legal issues. Even the people who are knowledgeable on legal issues are confused. Forget about other people on the street. Supreme Court confuse the people who are knowledgeable on legal issues. People who are not knowledgeable on legal, they confuse themselves. Because, take for example, the country respected you. There was this chaos. You say there's a stay order. Everybody stop. Stay order. Supreme Court will now create a situation where people will bring clarity to the law. You are the interpreter of the law. You are the gold standard for the interpretation. And you come there, and both are claiming victory from your interpretation. So what they did, they provided a room for an opinion to become greater than an interpretation. The opinion of the justice maker now rises above the interpretation of the Supreme Court. Because it's so vague, and the justice minister has an interest, has a stake. His party wants Kofa out. A different justice minister would have written a different opinion. The justice minister's position is politically tinted. His opinion is politically tinted. And that is wrong. I'll be honest. And I've talked to my friends in government, I know a lot of people, but this is wrong. We cannot do this to this country. The Supreme Court has to redeem themselves.
What do you expect the court to do again?
I mean, I'm
the court has ruled.
They have ruled, but they can review. Look, if you had different cohort of justices, the decision would have been different.
You think so?
It happened everywhere. Scholars come and review Supreme Court decision and say this bunch of justices were the least deeply endowed with interpretation. And I believe this group of justices, if you had different group of justices, would have done a better job. It is a quite a player. Same thing if you had different player on Real Madrid team, they win champions, the other people can win championship. Their particular Supreme Court can win no legal championship for us. Because this is a major test. They fail. They fail a basic test.
What clarity, for example, do you think? Did you want the
They
Supreme
could not
Court
even
to
call. I mean, the guys were basically stating the obvious. I spoke to 10 different lawyers. They were saying, okay, the law said nobody's supposed to cross the road here. They make it say somebody cross my road, somebody take my chair from my house illegally. He said, by the law, nobody's supposed to take somebody's chair. Is that man wrong to take the chair? They can't say it. Somebody else will park on the left side of the room. But justice, somebody park on the left side of the room and blocking me. Nobody's supposed to park on the left side of the room. Everybody must follow the law. But the message here, the man said that me, they're talking about I following the law, I park the rest of the room. So you inflame an existing tension. You exacerbate a situation. You did not resolve the situation. And you know what I was disappointed with? I was disappointed with even the Kofa side by praising the Supreme Court. And I can understand the consideration. Kofa is a lawyer who has clients who will go before the Supreme Court. He do not want to be on the wrong side of the Supreme Court. So he said, yeah, they did well. No. Or he felt he have to motivate his base. But this decision, this situation inflamed the decision. And let me tell you this, Clarence. Let's be honest here.
You got 1 minute, yeah.
Say whatever you want to say. I think I should be having 3 minutes.
No, one. I either want to make it 6, so I want to make it 1
So
more.
would you begin to
No, the file already finished. Let's go ahead.
So, I know, the process is a due process and a numerical threshold for the night. It was not met. Let's be honest. You did not move the guy the right way. You're wrong. Say whatever you want to say about Speaker Kofa. I agree with the conflict of interest. I'm concerned about conflict of interest. I'm concerned about the utterance and the allocations of the budget. I'm concerned. I don't want a corporate representative as speaker. I want the people represented as speaker. Representing all the multinational corporation does not settle well with me. Standing there and passing a judicial recommendation for the removal of Cabinet Janet does not settle well with me. Kofa role has now been the best. Kofa there as a deputy to Boffa Chimo and some of the wrong things that happened in the house, he was sitting right there. So Kofa is not any kind of champion of reform. He's a victim of, he's a casualty of the first political move at all. So let's be honest. But the point is, you can, because somebody did wrong or you don't believe the president did right, Kofa so strong, you can be on the the man said left way. He said, no, the other man, you tell 4 people who may prepare to fight the man. So Kofa so strong, the whole state. So Kofa push you to do the unthinkable. Kofa wanted to tinge your leadership and the legacy of President Baka with another cabinet, Janet, curse on you. Kofa did that for you. He pushed you to the wall.
Okay, Abdullah Kiatamba, thank you. Frank conversation we're having here looking at the cover removal, Supreme Court ruling and other issue. Want to? Let's move on. We'll take 7 minutes this time because I want us to have a longer time. Now, yesterday, your political party, and I listened to your party's chairperson this morning on the Voice of America, Anthony Allo Janka Cole. Your party, a few days ago, suspended Deputy Speaker Thomas Fowler and others. But yesterday, according to the release, I think after an executive committee meeting, your party expelled Thomas Fowler. Let's look at the expulsion of Thomas Fowler versus due process that he's complaining about versus the due process the CDC said things for Nancy Kofa was never giving or hasn't been giving or is not giving versus the political implication about your decision to expel Thomas Fowler. 7 minutes.
Great. Thank you. And even though the memo you sent did not say we were going to talk about the party expulsion, but I know for sure we will.
No, one said deputy. Let me see. I said let me see. Yeah, I said it. I said the expulsion of Thomas Fowler and the political implications.
So
I got
first,
it.
let me first applaud my political party. This is a landmark decision. In fact, we did that with clarity and precision. Over the years, we appreciate every political actors in CDC. One of the reasons why I support CDC is because the party is built with a doctrinal principle that no one is above the party, not even President Weah. That is, every single actor in the party, to some extent, is guided by the party rule-based framework. We believe in CDC by the fundamental principle of rules and order. We believe in the framework that built our institution is centered around, rule, orders, governance, loyalty, and respect for party principles. On the case for the speaker, first let's look at the issue of due process. If you are basically follow the proceedings of the party suspended not just the deputy speaker, but other representatives that were that under the party and may to some extent may have contested with the party through the coalition or so forth, exerting dominance over their concern with the whole speaker saga. The party was clear on their principles, very clear on where they stand, and that is the stand with the speaker. The party, created mediation process between all of these actors, including the deputy speaker. And the president was clear when he had the interview with Ibrahim Gossen Weah, where he spoke mainly about the fact that he's reaching out to all the speakers, reached out to the deputy speaker, initiated the conversation, and communicated the party's stance on the entire issue. What we saw here is a complete, clash of personal ego and a systemic, holistic viewpoint of the party feature, objective of governance in our country. And the fact that we saw that clash, the party have to, take a predominant stance that protect not just the integrity of the party, but that also, to some extent, meet the demand of hundreds and thousands, if not millions of Liberians who stand and who still believe in the futuristic ambition of this party that we serve with the entire speaker saga. I'm not going to go in detail with the issue of, the deputy speaker who is right, who is not right. What the party saw completely in terms of, the party manifesto, the party vision, the party objective, is that we fully stand with Speaker Kofa. We saw the misuse of executive power and influence over specific members of our party who should have done what is right. We saw the party integrity flowing, specifically in members of our party who should have defended this very party. We saw complete hypocrisy in the defense of our political party in what was seen and what was done, with respect to the parties involved. And hence, the party called for reconciliation process. The party called for mediation process. The party called for every other lawmaker to return to the gavel and have an internal mediation process with even Speaker Kofa. That process is an example of due process. These were entire internal proceedings that went on for weeks. So the idea of saying that the party did not afford due process, no. Let's look at the futuristic outlook of the party. Political institutions at CDC, very grounded, that have tested governance in this country, that have overwhelming support of Liberians, just by the outcome of the previous electoral process. we had an opportunity to, justify institutional principles and individualism. And
I'm
the-
struggling to justify CDC mistake.
Go ahead.
No, it's not-
no.
it's not a mistake.
Kiatama,
No.
you're coming there. Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
It's
Go
not
ahead.
mistake.
Go
It's
ahead.
not mistake.
Can you please go ahead?
Let me
Kiatama, people tell him, man. The man got 4 more minutes. Let's go ahead. 3.5. Go ahead.
You know why?
1 minute. Kiatama, don't do that.
You
Yeah.
know what you should have done?
Eh?
You should have provided the opportunity for Adama and Jacob. But you're saying give it down.
When let's hear you. Kiatama, please, I beg you. Don't control Morgan Rich, I beg you. Let's hear you.
With my orientation, it's not just about CDC. We saw an opportunity to justify, the holistic view of the party in terms of the party principle, but the institutionalism, comparatively with individualism. And I'm not going to state where, but you know for sure what I mean when I mean individualism. The specific interest of an individual or specific individual or group comparatively with the interest of the massive party. The political party of CDC is not an individual party. Parties stand completely with a doctrinal principle of protecting the masses' interests. If you go out in stronghold today, in West Point, in some of the massive territory, in Mosurado County, which is a stronghold of CDC, and in different counties, partisans were concerned on the involvement of the deputy speaker in the entire speaker saga. And because of that concern, the standard bearer, officially had an official press statement. Beyond just that, he had an interview basically stating that, he folded supposed speaker. Speaker Kofa. What we saw in the news was the misuse of misinformation that was being propagated by specific individuals who are, now supporting this entire cause. That the standard bearer is the one, leading this internal coup, and he clarified that he's not part of it. He believed that what is in the best interest of our party is that we have our speaker, because not only the speaker, the party is also concerned about future
Okay,
governance
sir.
issues.
Thank you.
He said 4 minutes.
No. 7 minutes over 1 2. When you are talking three go.
Let me tell you the statement.
No, I
8 seconds.
beg you, Chief. Let hold it there. Jacob, let's come to you. 7 minutes. Expulsion of Thomas Fowler and political implication.
Political implication, yes, sure. So, I think that's the thing with Liberian political parties. And I think even the so-called major parties, the CDC and the UP, they still have, huge challenges in terms of how they navigate these matters, and especially the CDC. My dear lovely friend, Mr. Tue, is the first member of the CDC, so, I always love to Mr. Samuel Tue. I always like to deal with the CDC very gently, not to irritate my friend, but the point of the matter is that I think the CDC stabbed herself in the stomach.
You think so?
I clearly think so. Now, the question is, why do you want to kick out Thomas Fowler from your party? Right?
Because he betrayed the party.
Well, no. First of all, this whole legislative squabble, I don't want to rehash the argument on that. We'll move on already. You first of all, you have to, if you're making a huge decision, because this is a huge decision with huge, massive implication for the future of the party. Because if you look at Thomas Fowler and the political capital he's been able to generate for the CDC, for example, in Lofa, and moving because the CDC had a poor, massively, underrated performance in Lofa consistently over previous year. Fowler went into Lofa and raised the CDC stake in the county and gave it a powerful political stake in the county, which gave the CDC a fighting chance, even coming in this one election, but in elections to come. So if you are chopping off that important political limb of yourself, you should be able to make that decision, look at the full range of the picture to say, okay, this is our political party. We have a strategic political future, and we traveling this road. What do we do now? Now, if there's a political issue on Capitol Hill between the speaker and his colleagues want to remove, because clearly speaking, even if Fowler moved on Speaker Kofa's side, Speaker Kofa loves the statistical game. He's not going to be speaker when you have 40-something persons on the other side. Sooner rather than later, you have to capitulate. You have to agree to step away, because it's become like impossible to provide leadership on the level you have 40 members moving on that side. So the question that you have to ask is that, what can we as a political party salvage out of this situation? Do you want to do yourself more damage by allowing Thomas Fala to go? And Fala, by all standards, is a huge political advantage for you in Lofa County. So are you making this decision based on anger, based on emotion, or you're making this decision based on clear-headedness on the matter? So if I were the CDC, I will allow this matter to play out. We will go back in the party. And I listened to Ambassador Weah the other time, and his position about Fala he went on, head on Fala on the public radio. I think that for me, that was politically wrong. No need to do that. Go back in the internal structure of the party and have the dialogue there. And front and center of that decision, making around kicking Fala up should be based on the general strategic future of the party, not because of a speakership. I mean, Kofa is not forced to be speaker of the legislature. Let's be clear about that. He's speaker among equals. The majority of members can say, look, my friend, you speaker, we don't want you to be speaker anymore. Can you move on? We need a new speaker and we need to carry on. So I don't think there was a wise political decision. I'm not a member of the CDC. I'm not a party guy, really speaking. But just looking at it from a strategic point of view, and if you have a vision, you want to move forward, you need Lofa part of that discussion going to 2029. And if you this is like Marco Correa gifting, talking
some people,
I think it's an
some people think the party made Fala. He has never made the party. That's why some people think the party made him.
I mean, the fact of the matter that Fala has grown politically, he has a constituency. Whether the party made him or not, that's another discussion. If you want to make a decision, because Clarence, notice something here. CDC 2003, 2004, 2005, we've been like 20 years now, close to that. People have evolved politically. You're talking about Fala now, you're not talking about Fala 20 years ago. These are men who have grown political ambition. He's been able to develop political leverage. He has a standing, he's a stakeholder. So even if Josh is talking to Fala, we should not make mistakes. He's not talking to Fala 20 years ago. He's talking to a man who has political capital, who is a stakeholder. So you have to change your perspective when you're dealing with him. Now, I'm not saying any individual should be indispensable. I don't believe in a strong man thing. I believe in institutions. I believe in the general cause. But I'm just questioning whether enough wisdom was applied into this matter and whether it will be politically sound to let Fala go because of a legislative disagreement on Capitol Hill.
Okay. 7 minutes, Gatama. Let's look at it.
Five checkers are saying that my minutes have been cut down.
That one, they will count
I'm going to see relief from the Supreme Court. And again, I'm Beverly's ruling. They got to take a man we got to get a lawyer from China. Look, CDC make a strategic political blunder. CDC right now is ideologically deficient in their thinking, in their processing. Today, I come here to speak my truth. I will rub fight you. I mean, send a caveat to all my friends in the party, in the government. Today, if you get caught a speech to borrow money, we'll face it. But today, Anna, Mamura, evangelical gospel. I'm speaking the gospel. I'm dispensing the gospel. So I'm not listening. CDC did not give Fala due process. They questioned the majority black for failing to give Speaker Kofa due process. They did not give Fala due process. And CDC is compensating for the lack of real support for Kofa. They failed Kofa.
You think so?
CDC failed Kofa. CDC does not have ideological conviction and roadmap. No. The country get together and say, CDC, we're taking power away from you. We're taking the presidency from you. We want for it to be vice president, but we want for it to be speaker. You take it, you lose it. You see what about there? You take it, you lose it. The House, you want to be a robust opposition. This is the major place to check the government. It is the first branch of government. It's a check and balance. You check them on the budget, you check them on policy. You relinquish that power. CDC, something go on with you. This is your chance to meeting Kofa and check the government. And see now telling or use the party person, Kofa was a harmless speaker, should have kept him there. And then he endorsed your policy. So both strategic deficiencies on both sides. But CDC fail. Let's look at the other failure. You got 11 members you don't have control over. Let go tell the Republican or Democrat or some kind of party say for CDC cannot even control the 11 members that are against Kofa. You say so what is the orientation, ideological orientation that they go through? That this is our party position. This is our party strategy. How to check this government. How to erect checkpoints on your policy excesses, on the runaway budgets. The CDC does not have no strategy, legislative strategy. To say, here's our legislative strategy. We'll create a block in the House and oppose any policy, any bill that deprive investments in education, in schools, expanding technical support. CDC got no ideological idea or anything. So those guys create their own CDC in the House. They do their own thing. They just carrying the title of CDC. The man where Real Madrid just playing for Baga. That's happening. And that's what the party saw the vulnerability of the citizens. These are men who are ideologically bankrupt in the House. They have no ideas. They are a bunch of opportunists and financial merchants who are deal makers. You make them deal, they support you. So CDC is losing an ideological battle. CDC is supposed to be the center of training new ideologues who will go on to fight this ideological battle. You got men that want to, a brilliant young man, was on top even the election through a CDC administration. They can lead the kind of men. They go for the Fiamu men. You know? Unleash your talent. You got men who have no orientation in the House. Their purpose in the House, CDC, what is your ideological calling? That these men are going there as mercenaries. They are there as merchants, as evangelists, who will sell the message of CDC, who will stand by their own. They fail their own. They become political opportunists. They allow their grievances to derail their own party position. Your party, the speaker is the third highest man in the House. You abandon the third highest man for no reason.
But the party issued statement, President. We have spoke on it. He called on the lawmakers to return to status
These are
quo.
meaningless, empty statements intended to relieve themselves of the guilt of failure. They want to relieve themselves of the
What do
guilt
you
of
think
failure.
the CDC should have done?
CDC should be more robust. Demand, make sure first CDC must start with CDC. If CDC can't face CDC, can't face anything. They can't face their 11 men.
You mean the guys who cross over?
Who cross over? Judge where? It's embarrassing to ridicule your leader. He said no. The party come out statement, the men not care. CDC in the past, when they say this, people listen to it. A CDC is a dying species now.
But our Jacob said times are evolving.
Yeah,
20 years
but
ago,
another issue of Fala, let's be honest. Comrade Jacob said something profound. Fala has done more for CDC in 2023 than CDC did for in 2023.
you think so?
In Lofa, he increased CDC vote in Lofa. So Fala does not need CDC. That is not a popular Lofa base. That CDC base is not popular there because of Fala. 2023 elections number increase in that district because of Fala, not because of CDC. So, in the approach is, if you can persuade the man, threaten the man, that is a weak position. CDC must come from a position of strength. As a ruling party, when you're talking to your party, you come from a position of strength. When you tell them, say, come home, they will listen. But nobody fears CDC again. The partisan lawmakers from CDC, they don't fear CDC. They don't fear CDC. They don't fear CDC is providing them an ideological direction. And so when someone better want to try to engage in sophistry, talking to but nothing talking. I knew my man was beginning.
Eventually,
I thought you gave me time.
I know the struggle you see here, that the struggle happening at the party headquarters. The struggle that taking place here we want to. That the same struggle is a manifestation of that struggle.
Kiatama, you got 1 minute, you got to end. You got to end.
So it's a brilliant young man. And you are not brilliant, you're going to crash. He's not getting smart. You know? You're not smart. I was going to visit me and London, because I saw you were going so. I said, what are they talking here? Really, on the if who's that, you take a fool and they didn't come in. But look, the point is, it's a failure in a lot of institutions. It's the failure of the CDC, the failure of the Unity Party. Unity Party is telling me that they have no brilliant strategies. They gotta do the unthinkable. The man say, you got blood. You say, I got no blood on my hand, king the power. Go fast, say, I'll push you in a position where you put something on you put crime on your hand. And that's what he did to you in the party. He said, I'll push you. Because guess what? They play A1, the man gonna resign under pressure. He not do as a 10. But the men support our plan. What plan B? They get it no more. They say read 50. The 50 men say no, someone we sign for that. So the number dropped to 43. 43 get move nobody. They say, tell me. And then Supreme Court say we'll say that for all. We just take it now.
Okay, Tama, we'll hold you there. Gentlemen, I will come to each of you. Let's get 3 minutes for you to summarize, and then we we'll open the telephone line. So that
Great.
So we'll give you.
So
we'll give you 3
my
minutes.
summary, just in response, I appreciate Katama's stance, and I also appreciate Jacob's stance on this issue. The most important question is a rhetorical question. What would have been the argument if CDC pretended as a toothless bulldog in the midst of grass party hypocrisy from their very lawmaker, the deputy speaker, leading an action where the party completely issue a policy that they disagree with the entire situation of Speaker Kofa. This was an opportunity to substantially initiate party stance on political stakeholders or members of our party who may not have agreed with the party policy. We also had an opportunity to justify the futuristic outlook of our party in terms of how current actions affect future implications of the CDC. This is not just an issue to say, we have to be as realistic as possible. You have a deputy speaker that is member of the NEC, who is one of the senior leader of the party, directly caught in an action of a specific lawmaker or speaker of a party who is the third highest position in the entire country. In the removal of that speaker, this is concerning for our party. So again, I come back to the action of individualism and holistic party vision.
What do you say to people who think you should not have expelled Fala because by expulsion, in the event the Kofa thing is settled and he's no longer speaker, then you lost 2 slots?
No, we maintain one thing. We maintain the integrity of our party. We also send future caveat that no individual is greater than CDC. And someone who believes in this kind of principle, I appreciate the stance of the party. This is a landmark decision that the Supreme Court failed to exert. What is to provide clarity in an issue where thousands of partisans across our party are concerned over specific inactions from their lawmakers being headed by the Deputy Speaker. I appreciate all of the legacy of the Deputy Speaker, but in this particular issue, he erred completely against the party holistic vision. And the party had to take a stance. And this stance is applauded. In years to come, 10 years, 20 years, future members of our party will appreciate this stance because this stance will guide future action in our party. And the political implication that most people talk about, CDC is fine. Nobody is bigger than the party. The Coalition of Democratic Change will become not just the preparatory party in governance, but will holistically govern us, inclusive members who disagree with how this government is ruling. The argument here is not CDC. The argument is how this government will provide better outcome in governing decision-making process than CDC. And this should be our argument. If all of the pundits will completely for the next 6 years think about how CDC is a failed party, decision is in this way inaccurate, then we have a mismatched opportunity as a country.
Okay, let's hear from Jake. Jake, let's hear from you. We'll conclude with Katama and then we'll take to the lines.
Yeah, I think I would, Coach is a friend, Secretary General, and be, Mr. Tua and stuff. These are my friends. I have the time to see them. I'll encourage them to try to find a mechanism in the party to rescind the decision, get Fala back into play in the CDC. I don't think you have to let him go. The dust will settle at the legislature. If you have Kofa a speaker or no speaker, the matter will be settled, I'm sure, very soon. And then you have to focus on the strategic vision of the party, right, moving forward. And after this recent election, and then of course CDC had had electoral disaster and they lost the election. I think the party, in my mind, should focus on reassessing, trying to reposition the party institutionally. Learn the lessons of the past 6 years. And then you apply the lessons towards improving the chances of the party moving forward. And besides that, there has to be a psychological reordering within the CDC. Because let me tell you something, things have moved on. And I even think Mr. Weir, who's the standard by the party, also needs to reboot. He needs to understand that a lot of players within the party who were political babies 20 years ago have grown to be men and women in the party with new ambition, with new perspective, with new outlook. And he should play that leadership and be the mother in this field and open up his chest to all the varying perspectives that will come up. Align and realign the gap with, say, different political interests within the party for the common good of the institution. And the one last point I'll make here is that if you look at institutions across history, whether political institutions, social institutions, or institutions that have the most potential or the greatest chance for lasting longer are institutions that are more flexible and adaptable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jacob, go quick.
Yeah. So I think the CDC has to become flexible. They have to become adaptable. They have to be open-minded. They have to be able to incorporate different perspectives for the overall vision of the party.
Overall vision of the party. Katama, let's hear you. Then we open the lines for us.
CDC is a movement. Most institutions are political parties. Movements are more powerful than political parties. But CDC is underutilizing that movement power they have. CDC is being reduced to a cult. The cult of the few guys. And those guys should sit there and give order to the rest of the people. Follow them and say, those days are over. We will not do anymore. We will not grow like Jacob Jara said. We will not pick in again. Well, say, BB Brabi there. Pala basically has created a financial war chest. So that's a situation where we can no longer rise on joy. We are star power. Because we saw that star power collapse in 2023. It collapsed, it scattered. When my man wanted them from station to station, post say, we're not listening to you. You go sit down. We're not voting for you. Then you want to bring that same attitude after the election. After 2020, CDC was shellacked at the polls. They lost all the major Senate seats and representative seats. CDC, they said they're going to recalibrate. They did not recalibrate. They did not. You know what they said? They fooled themselves. They said because Joey are not on the ballot, that's why we lost. The post said, yeah, we let 2023 come. Then you're putting there. They think they will do it on him too. Say y'all lost because Joey are not running, that's why you lost. So they do not reflect and think. Their CDC political strategy is Joey. CDC campaign motto is Joey. CDC approach to winning election are Joey. So Joey is the brand. No idea, no strategy. CDC is lucky to have a base that is ideologically, that it convenes that they are the grassroots. That's one, two. The problem is not solved by expelling Kofa.
You mean Fala?
From Fala. Your control over your own members in the house is weak. So just CDC, just prepare 12 more expulsion letters.
They said they gave, I think, 1 week to the other people. If they don't do
then
that,
expel them. Guess what? Other party will embrace them. CDC will be breaking their side, will be removing their own feather onto the breaking fly again. Take the other feather, tell the other feather the breaking fly. They cannot think it's emotional response. No, CDC is compensating. They tap leadership. The CDC, the strength of CDC is their base. Their top leadership, they made terrible decisions. The top leadership failed Kofa. They're ashamed to admit.
Okay.
When CDC ready in the time, that thing they call regroup, that nyama thing. When CDC were going to do regroup, that small thing they time, CDC sat down. And then 1 minute go do regroup. And then you regroup and you say, if I have a thing.
Laura.
I want to call you.
Well, this is the OK Morning Rush with Reggae on 99.5. We have a panel discussion here. I beg all of you, I may not be able to take all of the calls. I can understand the calls are going to come in the numbers. I may not be able to take all of the calls. I beg you. You can forgive me for that one. Hello?
Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
This is Kamara calling from Central Morio.
Kamara, let's hear you.
You know, I hear my uncle say, someone for a day or two, who more than one people for some of that. Let some of that remember CDC, so there's something. At that time, when he has, he didn't have it at that time. So if you get money in C, more than CDC, no problem. We met on some of that who nobody had, and Kevin and there. One of my greatest disappointments I had in some of that was, some of that you and what federal money was putting to local country. They get some money behind you. At the end, the inauguration of federal money, some of that took part, and it was my disappointment ever.
Okay, thank you. I don't hope to hold any caller long, please. Hello?
Very quickly, because I know the interest is epic. Let me thank your panelists. Actually,
This is Gabriel Yika.
Sorry, this is Gabriel Yika. They've made my day. They've made particularly that time. And I know the intellectual Jala has been a little bit economical with his comments. But yeah, a very brilliant young man. Here's a problem quickly. I was there, I've been there before I left. Prior to my leaving, I was in the party at the highest level. And ideologically, like Yatoma has indicated, there is absolutely no strategy, no ideological construct. You have to understand that George Weah is everything. You differ with George Weah, you are gone, irrespective of where you come from. And that's the problem. I just want to make that point to repeating what I said. So you talk to Ava, you talk to Dr. Tony, and some of us were there. There are some intellectuals still there, but wash out. They are all towing the land of money. The moment you differ, you have to leave. And it's sad. Other than that, the policy of the party will never be enriched if there is no divergence in the top party. Lastly, Dr. Martin Luther King has said, in the process of gaining your rightful place, don't be guilty of wrongful deeds. The current government is guilty of wrongful deeds in attempting to gain its rightful place over the speaker. I just want to say that.
Thank you. Let's take call from this other line. Hello?
Yeah, good morning, Clarence.
Good morning. Good morning.
And let me say good morning to the panelists.
Yeah.
Clarence, one thing for sure is that the Congress of Democratic Change remains supreme. No one, no individual, no soul, born of a woman.
Hello? Yeah, your line is terrible. How do you call it? About Idris Bility. No, Idris. Idris, where are you? Call back. I will take you, Idris. Your line is terrible. Let me take the other call. Hello?
Good morning, Clarence. This is everybody here.
Eric, let's hear you.
Yeah, I just want to make clarity to some of the statements that some of the callers, maybe particularly Gabriel Dika, to say that anybody disagree with President Weah or with the Senate bearing TDP, you don't have standing in the party. That's not true. Going back to 2011, the National Executive Committee of that party took a decisive decision that President Weah would not be the full runner, the broad topman. Did Weah leave the party? No. He didn't leave, so let's clarify that. To say when you go against him, then it means you all of the party. That's not true. Listen, the issue I have right now is, look, I just hope that the CDC gave Thomas Fowler the due process that he desired, because this is the same thing we are calling for at the level for Konadi Kova to do.
But the party has taken a decision already, my brother.
That's what we say. Although that decision was in line with due process. And finally, given the situation they talk about local country, you have forgotten it. Anything is only to fire that boy about that number in local country. You have Moses Colley, you have Jefferson Kochi, you have Janga Ko. The European, those boys, they stood together, and that's how the number increased. So
okay,
you cannot say that these people are not significant.
Thank you. Let's go on this line. Let me take my colleague, journalist Vesely Smith from Pram. Vesely, let's hear you.
Good morning, Clarence.
Yeah, Vesely.
Let me say good morning to your panelists. Very interesting conversation. I just like to play the devil's advocate here, and this time I like to stay on the side of the court, because I hear two of your panelists, Kiatama and Wanto, appearing or attempting to paint the court as being inefficient or not having lived up to its statutory responsibility.
First of all, Clarence and those listening, we have to understand firstly what was prayed for before the court, before we jump to conclusions. There were 4 counts in the petition prayed for by Kofa and his lawyers before the court, and not a single one of those counts mentioned Kofa's removal. So, of course, it goes without saying that Kofa can be claiming to be the speaker and be praying the court questioning a removal, because the fact that you do that means that you're already accepting that you were removed. But Kofa prayed for 4 things before the court. And another thing before I go further is that the petition filed before the court was an in-re petition. And I mean, based on what we've been able to gather from our legal sources, an in-re petition, the way the court will handle an in-re petition is different from how they will handle other petitions before the court. In the court's ruling, the court was clear that it has the authority to decide whether to rule on each count of the petition as it was prayed for, or to put aside those counts and rule on issues that it deems germane to the case. So the court picked up 2 issues. Firstly, its jurisdiction on the matter. Secondly, their interpretation of Articles 33 and 49. I hear people say the court did not do justice, or the court was not definite. Well, maybe we all expected the court to say, okay, this is unconstitutional or this is illegal. But the court, I think as much as possible, tried to say that their interpretation of Article 33 is that a simple majority of the House will constitute a quorum, and that quorum must be presided over by a presiding officer as mentioned in Article 49. Now, let's not get carried away now. Article 49 says the House shall elect once every 6 years a presiding officer who shall be
The speaker.
the speaker, comma, no, not the speaker period.
No, the speaker command in the absence
the deputy speaker,
and such other officers. Yeah.
so as to ensure the smooth running of the House. It means that all the positions mentioned, the speaker, the deputy speaker, and those other officers are all presiding officers of the House. So the court's interpretation of the 2 articles is that once the House meets a quorum, the next criteria it should meet is that it should have either of the presiding officers.
Okay,
Routine of
that's
the House is the presiding officer should be the speaker. Just 1 minute, please, Clarence. That the presiding officer should be the speaker, right? The speaker is the first person. But the court, in its interpretation, and like we heard from the Minister of Justice, the court is saying that it is not within the intent of the law that the speaker is the first criteria for the House to meet. The first criteria for the House to meet is the majority. If the speaker is present, he goes to where the majority is.
Thank you,
No
Vessel.
specific chamber.
Let
Okay,
me-
let me just give another time.
Yeah, please, I beg you. Yeah, just conclude.
Okay, so the court did not say that the speaker is the first criteria for the House to meet. It says a simple majority. So if a simple majority is
Oh, Vesely. So, okay, we ain't coming there. Let's take the call finally, then we'll go back to our guests. We got to conclude. Hello, final caller.
Thank you, Clarence.
Yeah, final caller.
So Clarence, calling you is Clarence Sayon Brooks. I'm calling this morning from around the LP.
Yeah.
Clarence, let me first say that Liberians, especially people that we expect to allow politics to derail their rational standards in society. Clarence, I want to address 2 issues.
I mean, you may not have the time. Please, let's do one.
Okay. Clarence, thank you very much. Let me just summarize the Supreme Court opinion and go straight to, I think, the two last.
Hey, man, you just drag it. Say what you want to say, man, please.
Yeah, okay. So the court says any action or setting that is in conformity with Article 33 and 49 is ultra-virus. Clients are defining what ultra-virus. It means having the authority to do something, and then the authority is not the one that you use to carry on a particular act.
Thank you, Chief. We got 6 minutes, man. We gotta go. No. We gotta go. We gotta come to you. I gotta come.
Also, two calls there.
I gotta come to
calls,
all
right?
of you. No, we can add. Maybe I can add one more. Let me just add one more. We gotta go. Hello.
Yeah, listen to call.
Hello. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah.
My name is Hassan Soma calling from Central Morovia.
Let's hear you, Soma.
We just enjoying the city. The people they don't have the luxury, they don't have the power. You know what I'm telling me? So we as the United Party, then we're going to send the rest of that get there. All that extra lawmakers will carry them to United Party and torture them and bend them and good lawmakers to carry them to United Party. So 2029 because of different parties in 2029, that's different green. So when they expect that people there, we as the United Party, the party that understand political soldier in the country, we make sure we carry all that lawmakers. So we're telling you, and we have the men as posted there to make sure that 2029, all that extra lawmakers will carry them and make them good lawmakers.
Thank you, Jake. Let's hear from you, man. Let's hear you. Let's hear you conclude. Where do you conclude?
No, I mean, it's been a good discussion.
Conclusively.
We've been talking for 1 hour, 30
Yeah.
minutes or so. So my summary will be maybe 20 minutes. You have that much time?
What?
No, yeah, sure. I mean, it was a good discussion. Yeah, a very elaborate summary like the Supreme Court. Yeah, but yeah, I think it was a nice discussion. This is good for the democracy.
Yeah.
To come here and then have this kind of detailed conversation in a very, harmonious and peaceful way. And I think this is a testament that, the dialogue is maturing, is deepening, and it's good to disagree, to agree. And thank you. Thanks for the time.
Okay. Wanto?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. This is very great. This is a very, great setup. Very intellectual, very honest. I think this is one of the, if not the, probably maybe the only panel you've had where there is more agreement. And I think the disagreement was just slightly on the basis of decision-making process. Again, we are in a country where we should be very careful about decision-making, especially, like I stated from the beginning, a lot of our decisions center around future governance outcome. This generation will not be impacted by decision right now. Our generation will be mostly impacted by the current interpretation from the Supreme Court. Whether you support the Supreme Court or not, we know for sure that the Supreme Court erred in the final decision-making process. The ambiguous, overlapping, opportunity where they could have set a precedent, they failed that landmark greatly. They allow multiple interpretation process that created, different undertoning on what the Supreme Court decision-making process is. I think they had an opportunity to crack and set a landmark decision in this current saga, because this is not the first. We've had more than two, if not of the same situation. What we're seeing here is that we reward lawlessness in our country. We create an opportunity where, individuals will make decisions on the basis of their choice. I said it before. If Speaker Kofa leave, Speaker Kum will be next. The same decision, and his is even more terrible. He came through the Nicodemus process that did not follow even no principle. So the guys already seen a whole already. We will be back in the studio in a couple of times to discuss Speaker Kum removal, because there are opportunity for that. The last aspect is I want to be able to talk to our partisans of CDC. Our political party believe in a doctrine that nobody is supreme. The Carter said, President Weah, once you disagree with President Weah, that's not true. I think one of the Carter clarified. President Weah ran as vice president on the same party. They disagree with him and said, we don't believe he should be a standard bearer. He should be a vice standard bearer, and he agreed to that. So the political party is an institution that believes in the masses view. Everyone in our party can be greater, and nobody is above the party manifesto. The decision on expulsion of the deputy speaker is respected, is applauded, and we set a precedent for laying out a precise standard for future governance.
Somebody will tell me say Thomas Fallacy he coming open or he coming call on have it. I think 4-hour press conference to talk. Can tell me let's get your final take.
Yeah, I think I'm also hearing that Thomas Fallacy. You see who really behind the.
See the man say nobody will use it as a soccer car. He coming up.
Say somebody BB player will had him their hand.
Hey, my man, you buy jet leg jeans, man.
But when you started jeans,
conclude.
But honestly, I'm honored to be on a panel with some of the finest species of inspiring men. One of the most untapped resources CDC has. Pray in your message, now use the guy. I'm serious, my man. I told you what I said. When you talk, and now he's a young man, exceptionally brilliant, exceptionally gifted, resource vault. You know, and they never use him. They should have this are the members supposed to be the face and the voice of the party. This is the future right here. They lose again, they go bring different person and say, "Well, spend the president at a penny."
Why you want to say?
No, and my brother Jacob, exceptionally gifted. No. I love to enjoy the conversation.
No, the man good.
Yeah, because he was saying something.
But the ball lost. The ball lost.
So he not say one thing where the ball bust a loss or a tripping. I say that. But Clarence Johnson, the best host in the country, I say this with confidence and no equivocation. He forces the best out of you. Even when you want to hold back, he pushes you, and his collection of panel is a beautiful chemistry. So I'm honored to be here. And back to the issue. Look,
back to the issue again. My man, Baba. No. Okay, all right. After talking, he said back to the issue.
While we create the environment.
My name is Piso, man. I'm taking my usual weekend break. I'll be back here on Monday, man. Bye-bye.